Hey everybody, Quantum here, and the WCQ season for Master Duel is off underway, and what I have for you here is some FIENDSMITH Bestial Control gameplay, and I want to show you just how resilient this deck can be. Going first, which, it's kind of rare, I guess, for me to showcase, because usually going first is very high likelihood that you win the game, but in this opening hand, you can see that it's just not great. Opening one vanilla monster in this deck is fine. Opening both is absolutely terrible. Regardless, off of an Ether or Primite opening, you can end on Hieratic Seal by doing this play here, ideally summoning from the deck and not from the hand, and that and the reason that this is good before we switch over to the opponent's turn here is that you end on a Drill Beam interruption, which can be turned live if you need to Hieratic Seal bounce back your own Lordly Load to have this card in your hand as your Primite card, but also getting a Magnumate summoned to the field so that you can do follow-ups on the next turn. Your Ether is already in grave for recycling with your normal monster, so you have really good follow-up and you have decent interruption in Banish, Bounce. Again, you could bounce your own card if you need to, but also with FIENDSMITH Bestial, obviously the goal is that you have a bunch of hand traps in hand backing you up. You have Veilers, you have Nibs, you've got Ash Blossoms, Maxies, whatever it might be, Ghost Ogres, etc. Bestials, of course, as well. But we only have Ash, which isn't great. Because we opened double vanilla here, right, these are two cards that should have ideally been two more hand traps. So this isn't great for us, but let's see what the opponent is on here. They're going to be on Yugioh, and this was a player who had multiple top 10,000 finishes in Duelist Cup, so, not a slouch by any means. They're going to start by going into Phantom of Yugioh, and I'm like, okay, I feel okay about that because, that puts two cards away from your hand, two less cards to worry about. But they knew what they were doing, because on the activation of Nightmare Throne now, if I Drill Beam, which they know I have, right, the Phantom of Yugioh, I had to do it like on summon, because now if I deal with the Phantom of Yugioh, the Nightmare Throne second effect will trigger once per turn if a face-up Yugioh monster you control leaves the field by card effect, which it would off my Drill Beam. They basically get a free Yugioh summoned from the hand. So, or they can bring it to hand or special summon it, obviously, right? So it's not great for me, but they have basically a full combo, which I guess makes sense, right? They didn't have any hand traps for me, so they've got Nightmare Throne, they've got Phantom, they've got Opening of the Spirit Gates. We know that they brought Samsara the Lotus to hand, and now they also have Dark Beckoning Beast. So this is a really bad situation for me, given how terrible my opening hand was. Like the double barrel also didn't help. I only need one, not two. But they're going to go ahead and normal summon Beckoning Beast, grab out another Spirit Gates, and I'm going to stop the normal summon of the Samsara the Lotus by bouncing back the Dark Beckoning Beast with my Hieratic Seal there, getting a Magnumate. The last couple of cards are unknown in their hand, right? Because we know Spirit Gates, we know Dark Beckoning Beast that was bounced back, and we know Samsara the Lotus. And then one of the two mystery cards ends up being a FIENDSMITH Engraver. So now that I've dealt with the first part of their deck, I now have to deal with the FIENDSMITH, which obviously I can't because I have no more interruptions. So they're just going to go standard FIENDSMITH combo here, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I survived. The unfortunate part is they likely will try to end on Desiree because they know they can't OTK me this turn, and then the Desiree just cleans up whatever I tried to do on the following turn, and then they just OTK me the next turn anyway. So pretty much a losing situation, and something that you should probably just give up and not waste time with. So they do go into Desiree, but the issue is here that they also still have FIENDSMITH Engrave for follow-up on their next turn as well. So yeah, they're just super cracked. Their opening hand was super cracked in terms of the combo. They do go into another Phantom of Yugioh, so the other mystery card that we didn't know about was another Spirit of Yugioh, and they put that back along with the Dark Beckoning Beast, which makes sense because they have another Spirit Gates in hand. They can get another Dark Beckoning Beast, so we know Spirit Gates, Samsara the Lotus, and then they've got a Monster Negate and a Desiree double Negate to end their turn with, which is pretty good considering I only have two cards. I'm going to be able to search in the end phase. This can't be negated for the Bestial Lubellion. During my turn, I draw into Nib, and I'm like, okay, so I can't do anything this turn, but I can at least stop them next turn. They don't negate the bring back of the Ether Barrel. They don't know that I have another Ether Barrel in hand, right? They know the Dusting because I revealed that for the Drill Beam Banish, so they know that I opened up with two Vanillas in hand because they would have seen that I summoned this from hand and not from deck off of the Lordly Load. So they know that my hand was probably like absolute not great. But we're going to start by Bestial Lubellion, hoping that it eats the Phantom Interruption, and it does, because they're probably thinking, yeah, he's going to have to normal summon Ether Barrel, and then I just negate that, and then his turn probably ends, right? Because this Desiree will negate the Lordly Load also, which kind of, just ends my turn, basically. Instead, I go for the White Dustin into Requiem, and the reason I do this, because, you could say, well, if you summon Ether and it gets negated along with the Lordly Load, at least you have the ability to reset Drill Beam, and then your Drill Beam is live because you have another Primite card in hand. Yes, but I still can't target the Desiree because of the sequence. I could end up banishing the sequence with the Drill Beam, but they would still OTK me anyways. I do have a Nibiru to hopefully play through it, so maybe there's that. But the issue with banishing this is they don't actually need this card to get it, like to recycle, because they can fusion with the Tract to bring out the Fiendsmith Lacrima, and then Lacrima could recycle the sequence. However, being a Yubel player and unfortunately being the WCQ, I can't check the deck list. They may not be playing Lacrima, the Fiendsmith Lacrima fusion, which would be really bad if they weren't. And you could argue that going Desiree turn 1 is also a mistake. They probably should have gone for Caesar. Caesar's always usually better, but Desiree is not a bad option either, because this card represents not only negate 2, but also when it's sent to the graveyard, it can also send a card on the field. So it's like a multi-layered interruption. The reason I go for Lacrima here is because I know it's going to get negated, right? Whatever, if it was going to be Ether Barrel, if it was going to be what I summon off of the Requiem, it's going to be negated. So at least this way, as long as they don't set up an OTK, during the end phase, I can go Lacrima, effect in the grave, put back, summon back out Requiem. I can't use the Requiem during my opponent's turn because, again, they just have the Desiree negate regardless, unless I Nibiru, right, and then go for the Lacrima effect after the Nibiru. That's another option. Another play I could have done is off of the Requiem, I could have gone into my own Engraver and then equip the Requiem to the Engraver and then make Necro Equip and then bring back the Engraver, and then I would have 2 bodies on field, and I can go into sequence and try to fuse, or I can just go into an Xyz play. The issue with that is they still have the Desiree negate, right? They would just negate the sequence. If I end up crashing like a DDD, that's just not good. I just clear my board and their board, and they have infinite follow-up with Fiendsmith and Yubel anyways. So this play at least gives me some potential follow-up to survive next turn, and play through something. So they go Samsara D Lotus, normal summon, and they basically have full combo here. It's strange to me that they didn't go activate Spirit Gates, get Dark Beckoning, normal Dark Beckoning, because then they get the extra bodies, but the Samsara D Lotus here is fine too. They go Nightmare Pain, yep, so they're getting everything in rotation. Pop Yubel, grab Gruesome Grave effect, pop Spirit, resummon out Yubel. They've got Terror Incarnate. What my win condition here is, and my toggle is off, by the way, like, because if they saw a light up on the 5th summon, they would definitely just go into like an Apollo USA or Appaloosa. So my win condition here is that they don't go for Appaloosa. And I'm like, okay, it's good that they've used some extension here, but, they use their Nightmare Pain. They still have the summon for opening of the Spirit Gates. They still have Gruesome Grave banish to summon out. So even if I nib this field, they still have follow-up to build a board. And in Grave, they still have the Fiendsmith engine to go into, right? So there's just infinite number of ways for them to print bodies, which isn't great for me. But I'm figuring they probably want to go into the Unchained stuff first, and that's exactly what they do. So I'm like, okay, this buys me some time because it's very, very likely, like they search Servara here, pretty standard. It's very likely that they go for Unchained first. Like they're not going to make Apollo until they make this, most likely. Or they might not even be going for the Appaloosa here. So they're going to go Unchained Shoal of Shrivara, pop Yubel, right? So again, free utility, bring back the Terror Incarnate. And then, even better for me, I'm like, okay, like if you went Soul of Rage here, like I probably still don't Nibiru because there's no way you use these bodies to make an Appaloosa. You wait until you fill up your board again, right? They use Gruesome Grave Squirmer, and they're going to bring back Yubel. Again, my toggle is off this whole time, right? Because until I see that Soul of Rage, they're definitely not going to go Battle Phase. They're going to go for Soul of Rage. Well, I shouldn't say that because they might just try to go for damage here, but they don't have lethal on board. So I'm fine like if they enter the battle phase and I just nib in main phase 2 and just take the damage too. So I should make that distinction. But if they're looking to build the board first, they're likely aiming to go into the Soul of Rage. So they're going to go ahead and build up the Yubel. And at this point, I'm like, okay, let me nib here because technically they can use all of these bodies to go into an Apollo. And then they can go Fiendsmith engine and still finish off with the Soul of Rage afterwards, right? But I don't want to risk them using these 4 bodies to go into a 4 material Appaloosa. So I use the nib here. The Desiree negate here doesn't matter because nothing here is going to be activating on the field. I take out everything, summon Nibiru in defense. Most likely the Desiree sends the Primite Lordly Load, but they actually opt to send the Nibiru, so I'm like, sure. They get the Shavara set on the Unchained trap card there, which is Escape of the Unchained. And then, of course, they get the Nightmare Throne ability because their Yubel cards left because of my card effect. So they're going to go ahead and grab back a Spirit of Yubel and summon it to the field. So, yeah, they still get a lot of follow-up, and then of course recycle Desiree in order to bring back Fiendsmith Engraver. And I'm like, this is perfect because now I can use my own Lacrima here to bring back the Fiendsmith Requiem, summon back out Lacrima, go ahead and pitch the Fiendsmith in Paradise. Then if you make sequence, before you're able to fuse, I can send my Desiree, put back my Requiem, and send your sequence so that you don't fuse. Then you end on nothing, right? So that's really good for me. But of course, they top deck for turn, Call by the Grave, and I was like, this game just wants me to lose, right? Like they just want me to lose this game. Like you top deck Call by the Grave, that is insane. So down goes my one of Lacrima here. Of course, they don't do the Requiem because they're probably planning to make their own Requiem to just dump more Fiends in rotation, and that's exactly what they do. So I'm like, yeah, this is pretty bad for me here. So they're going to go ahead summon Lacrima, which is negated, but it does get it into rotation. However, this does negate it for their turn as well. So they're not going to be able to do their own play of Lacrima special summon out Requiem either, to if they even play Fiendsmith in Paradise. They're going to use Opening to grab back an Opening to hand. This trap card, the Escape, isn't live either. They're going to get the Hubel off the field by going into a sequence along with the Lacrima here. Sequence is going to fuse into yet another Desiree. So they may not be playing Fiendsmith Lacrima. They might just straight up be going for the Desiree plays here. Just, Desiree is a really strong card, right? You can see on board it's a negate 2, and then when it gets sent to the graveyard it's also a send, which it's great. And then you have infinite loops and follow-ups, as you can see here. So it's my 3 cards to their 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 cards plus infinite follow-up in graveyard for the next turn. I have very minimal follow-up here. I don't even have a Fiendsmith Engraver, so it's really bad for me. I don't know if you call it the issue or the silver lining or whatever, is I still have something to deal with. It is the Desiree negate, right? Negate up to 2 cards on the field for the Desiree, and technically they have this Unchained Soul Lord of Yama that if I destroy something, they can banish this, summon a fiend. So I just have basically 2 disruptions to play through. They don't have a Yubel on field, so the Nightmare Throne doesn't trigger to recycle anything. But if I don't finish the game this turn, they just have infinite follow-up, right? They got Nightmare Pain, they've got Opening of the Spirit Gates. These are all infinitely follow-up cards. The Fiendsmith engine in rotation, plus I have to deal with this token, right? This token will OTK me by itself. So I'm at 4,000 life now. They're going to pass turn, and this is where, if you clicked on this video, is probably what you waited for. So I'm going to start off by dumping the top deck Lubellion, grabbing a Druid Worm, right? I mean, my top deck here, as long as it wasn't a dead hand trap, should be okay. The Druid's Room is okay here. I'm going to go ahead and normal summon Ether Barrel. And my opponent here is probably thinking, well, your hand was dead previously, so if I negate this Ether, like, you probably have no extension, right? I don't want you to get another Lordly Load up to get another Drill Beam and do all the shenanigans, so I'm just going to negate this now and say, let's end the game. So Drill Beam Engrave, recycle itself. It is live for next turn if there is a next turn, because I do have the Ether here. I do not play Typhon, right? Typhon would have been good on turn my previous turn, where I could have used it to out the Desiree back to the extra deck, dodging its trigger. But again, they would just have infinite follow-up regardless. So I'm going to end up putting the Druid's Worm in the grave by bringing back out the Lubellion, getting rid of the token. So that's issue number 1 done. Grab out the Branded Regain. And you could argue I could have gone Druid's Worm first and then summon out the Lubellion and tried to put the Regain on field then, because then maybe he negates the Lubellion to stop the Regained, which is probably what they would have done. But I think if you're a smart player, you would definitely just be like, I don't care if you put this up, I'm still negating the normal summon Ether that you're probably going to do anyways. So I go into Moon of the Closed Heaven with my 2 bodies, and this is where playing Necroquip is so important, because normally you would go into Lacrima, and Lacrima gets you the extra body anyways because you dump Fiendsmith Engraver. Fiendsmith Engraver recurs itself. My Lacrima is banished though. So we're going to go Fiendsmith Engraver, equip the Requiem, and make Necroquip. Then use Fiendsmith Engraver effect, put back the Requiem. Because I have both Requiems engraved, I only play 2. I definitely want to recycle 1. Bring out Engraver. Engraver is going to go into Sequence along with the Necroquip, and then Sequence is going to fuse by using Moon of the Closed Heaven and the White Dustin. And this is important. Well, I shouldn't say super important, but like, I wanted to keep these guys engraved. There is a case to be made that you could recur the Lacrima here out of the banished pile, but I've already used my Requiem equip and Necroquip, so I can't get another level 6 body. So I definitely need to go for the Fiendsmith Engraver. Normally, if possible, I would like to bring this to hand, pitch it, grab the Fiendsmith Tract, but because I've already used my Engraver effect to bring back, or I'm pretty sure I did, right? Yes, I did, right, because I sent it off of the equip to get the Necro equip, and then I brought it back to field so I can make sequence. So I can't, if I brought the Fiendsmith Engraver to hand to pitch it to grab the Fiendsmith Tract, I wouldn't be able to recur this again. And this is where the insane combo lies, right? So you could be like, okay, you can beat over this thing now, but then if I send it, it's going to send one of my cards, and then I'm just going to lose the grind game here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to end up Xyz summoning, as you can see here on the side, Goblin's Crazy Beast. Now, I should have absorbed this trap card, but it didn't matter. I end up absorbing the sequence. Lacrima is in the grave, so I'm going to trigger it to return the Link 1, the Requiem, to deal 1200 damage, and then I'm going to link off the Goblin and the Goblin's Crazy Beast and the Fiendsmith sequence for an Agnumday. And this is the combo to clear a board very effectively, because now I can go Goblin Crazy Beast effect Engrave to special summon itself, and then use this card as material for the single summon, or cheating out an Xyz summon of the full armor Dark Knight Lancer. And this card states, once per turn, if an equipped card becomes equipped to a monster I control, except during the damage step, I can attach one monster my opponent controls to this card as material. This is non-targeting, so even if the Desiree still had the Requiem, which is again why I should have probably just taken the trap. I don't take opening because I have an opening in hand, and I don't take this because when this goes to grave, they can just use this effect to bring this back to hand as soon as they get a Yubel monster on field, right? A level 10 Yubel. They recycle this continuous trap anyways. So I was going to out the sequence regardless, because what I'm going to do now is use Agnumday effect to target the Fiendsmith Lacrima Fusion, equip the Agnumday to it, and that counts as an equip, which then triggers the full armor Dark Knight Lancer to suck up the Fiendsmith Desiree. And that is a way I get around Desiree, both its non-targeting ability when it's equipped with sequence, but also the fact that I don't send this to grave. I'm able to absorb it so it doesn't trigger to send a card. And now I have Fiendsmith Lacrima, that's 4200, and full armored Dark Knight Lancer at 3400, which is a total of 7600 damage, plus the Lacrima burn, right, puts them at 68. So that means that this 76 is more than enough for game. I still had game even without the Lacrima burn because equip the sequence puts me up to 54, which has me at 8800 damage. Go battle phase, and just like that, we went from almost no cards to versus my opponent's full combo to beating them, which is crazy with what I would say is a very terrible opening hand. And despite my opponent basically getting full combo, the Nibiru really came in clutch there, obviously, but also just understanding the line of play to go for the full armored Dark Knight Lancer and the Agnumday equip gets me to finish off the opponent, and we're able to take that match.